Good evening and welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Jay Sealing. I am the board chair for the Alexandria Education Foundation, and I want to welcome you to our second annual EdTalk. EdTalk is a celebration of a community celebration of excellence. We formulated this idea for an educational talk as a way of creating another avenue of support for the Education Foundation, but also as a way to showcase what the foundation ultimately is all about. Creating opportunities for students, and when those students come from and have a wonderful foundation of education that we provide here at District 206, they go on to do very great things. And so it's been our dream to be able to showcase that and bring in speakers that are connected very, very closely to this school district. Our speaker tonight is a class of 77 graduate, and we're very, very proud to have him here. And in order to introduce him, I think it's best to have the younger, smarter, good-looking brother do the honors. So, my pleasure to introduce the keeper of the family stories, Tom Ellison.
Thank you. I hope I paid you. I would like to introduce my brother, Scott. We're a family that grew up just probably not even a mile away from here on the west side of Lake Victoria. We all went through school in the Alex School District. We all were very active. We played sports. The girls were in cheerleading. They were in sports as well. But in the 70s, there wasn't many options for girls' sports, but I know if there was, they probably would have been more involved. We all, did all things in the community. We went our separate ways, went to our different colleges. Scott actually went to University of North Dakota, got a degree up there, Parks and Recreation, then came down for an internship in Moorhead, and he was sleeping on my dorm room floor during that internship. We were quite cramped at that time. Yeah, it was illegal, but we just kind of told the RA that, oh, that's somebody else. Hide him, he'd run down the hallway with a towel over his head. And then he got a job in Moorhead and Fargo Park Department, and then found himself looking for a job. And we were at our house, in just our parents' house, and looking through the paper for jobs. And I think it was Julie that found it. So she said, here's a job. Maybe you should apply for this. And of course, he said, what the heck, I might as well. And it was manager of Mary Jervy. And I still remember the time. It was just a couple weeks later. We were all around together again at the house, and he comes around to the back deck, and I think he holds up a bottle of champagne. And says, I got the job. So it was a lot of fun. And since then, I'm going to let him cover his story at the U, but he's been there a long time. Started as manager of Mariucci, and we are blessed as a family to get to go down, take in an event, and we get to go in the back hallways. As you walk through TCF, you might say, "Well, here, let me take you up to the DQ room and let you warm up for a little bit." And we leave and we go down the back hallways, and everybody you passed would be everybody that was working there. They would all greet him. It was like, "Hey, Scott, how's it going?" And Scott would answer him back. I think as administrator of a building or of a campus like he is, I think that's very telling what type of character he is and what type of administrator he is when he got all those people that know him really well and greet him everywhere we go. So that's always impressed me about how he handles himself around the University of Minnesota. The other things that I got to tell one story. I can't be too terrible because he's after me. He'd probably zing me back. But so Scott gets the chance to have some things happen that maybe most people wouldn't have. So his son is getting married. And we're at a building on the U and having a wedding reception, or actually the hotel. And so Scott has this idea that he's going to bring Goldie the gopher and have the Goldie gopher come in and greet the crowd and do all, spin the head and all that stuff. And everybody's having a lot of fun with it. Of course, the thing you do for Goldie is you got to tip him at the end of the night. And so Scott, gets down the end of the night, walks him over to the elevator, and here you go, Goldie. Slides him the bill, and he gets in the elevator, and off he goes. And a little while later, Scott opened up his wallet and saw the $100 bill still sitting in his wallet. He goes, "Oh my gosh, I tipped Goldie $1." So the big shooter here. And then so when we're walking around campus later, I mentioned that everybody greets Scott. Well, Goldie isn't greeting Scott yet. He gives him the one-finger salute. He's like, "Have fun, man." So, anytime you go to the Gopher game, if you see Goldie looking up at the the control room at TCF and looking a little disgusted, he's looking at Scott. But he's had a great career, and I think you're going to enjoy his presentation. It's been amazing to see the number of buildings and the projects and everything that he's been involved with. Pretty fun to have just a small part of that and see him go through this project. So here is Scott.
Can you hear me? Good. Thanks, Tom. I didn't know you would tell the Goldie story, but yeah, it's a true story. I was very embarrassed. Went in on Monday and gave Goldie the $100 bill that I owed him. But I told my wife, I said, "You know what?" Goldie probably was thinking, "What a cheapskate." Gave me a $5 bill, I think it was. Tom asked me to consider doing this, and first I had to ask when was it, because we're busy now at the U with postseason events and Gopher events and so on and so forth. We just finished up the Athletes Village. We're still trying to put that project to bed, and he said it was this Sunday. And before I do it, I was getting a call from KXRA. They're asking me to tell them what I was going to do, what my speech was going to be about. So I said, well, I was talking to Tom, and Tom kind of said, maybe I could talk about my career at the University of Minnesota. I've been there for every major project, and I talk about all the projects I went through. And Bruce McGurty from KXRA goes, that sounds kind of dry. I'm going, oh boy, I'm in trouble if he thinks it's dry. So he said, just tell a lot of stories. I said, well, I got plenty of stories I can tell, so I'll sprinkle in a few stories here and there on some of the projects that I've worked on. Then I asked Tom, I said, so how long does the person who gives this talk, how long do they talk? He said, about 45 minutes. I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm Scandinavian. I'm going to talk 45 minutes straight in a week, let alone in one sitting. So I had to wrap my mind around that as well. But I'm glad to be back. I'm very proud of the projects that we've worked on at the University of Minnesota. And we've done a lot since I've been there. When I came in 1988, basically they hadn't done a project since Lou Holtz had built what the neighborhood calls the Pig Barn. I think they call it the Pig Barn because that's where Lou Holtz came from, was Arkansas, the Razorbacks, the pigs. And they always talk about the Pig Barn right across the street from their houses. And he built that in 1986, I believe, and that was really the last major project they had built since before I had arrived in 1988. So I walked into Williams Arena for my interview, I think it was in June of 88. I started in August of 88. And I walked in and, just thinking this is an iconic venue. Everybody talks about Williams Arena in the state of Minnesota. We went down for a state wrestling tournament, I don't know how many years ago. That was back in junior high, I think it was, and just how cool that facility was. I haven't been back since that wrestling tournament. I walked in, and I was absolutely disgusted with the way it looked. They hadn't maintained it. I walked in the bathroom, I had to walk out, it was that bad. They had a vestibule that was next to the dumpster, which is outside, filled with garbage from wall to wall, ceiling to floor, just garbage. I walked in the back hallway of Mariucci, and they had a popcorn machine back there that the mice were using as a swimming pool, diving through there, and it was eye-opening for me to see that, and I could tell right away when I walked into the facility, why I was there and what they were looking for. They were looking for somebody to kind of take control and really turn that facility around. So that was my first major task, was really getting the people who worked at Mariucci Arena to really buy into my vision, but also to buy into the greater Minnesota vision. The state of Minnesota, this was an iconic venue for the state of Minnesota, and that's the way I approached it, and that's the way I felt working there, that we really need to be representative of what the state of Minnesota is all about. So that was my approach from day one to today. For my whole career, that's what I focus on. Not only the student athletes, but we are the state's university. And what I do is very reflective of the state of Minnesota. So that's always been my mission, always been my vision, working at the University of Minnesota. As was mentioned earlier, Jefferson High grad in 1977. I went to the University of Minnesota Morris primarily to play football, to be honest with you. I was looking for some place to play football and have a good time, and really did fit at the University of Minnesota, so I transferred to the University of North Dakota, where I graduated with a degree in Parks and Recreation Administration. Nowadays, it would be called sports management. So sports management is the field that a lot of people who want to get into my field are going into. They get a minor or an undergrad in sports management, then they get their master's degree in sports management. Then they go on from there to become a facility person like myself, or an athletic director, or a development director, or various different avenues into athletics. I started at the U, as I mentioned, in August of 1988. My original job was the barn, Williams and Mariucci Arena, the old field house, and then the outdoor tennis courts. That was my area of purview, was over all those facilities. So that was where I started. I had, in my first, probably 2 years, I had 4 bosses, right? Yeah, Sandra Musso, who was kind of like at the AD of facilities. The AD of facilities was like the AD of men's athletics and the AD of women's athletics. I actually worked with Paul Giel for a little while, and he got fired. Holger Christensen took over for Paul Giel. Then Chris Volz started the same day I did in August of 1988. She was the women's athletic director. So anytime you have that many supervisors, that many bosses, you have challenges, right? You have multiple agendas. You have multiple needs that you have to meet. We had the men's department, we had the women's department, which were, both aligned as far as athletics are concerned, but also they were operating different worlds. They had different agendas, different goals, different challenges that they had to deal with. So that was the start of my career at the University of Minnesota. The first real project that I had, I'll never forget, I was there for 2 years, and one of the challenges I had was I had one court for both basketball teams, a volleyball team, both gymnastics team, and wrestling. So I could fit all those different sports onto that one basketball court. Now we have 2 basketball courts for competition. We just built 2 practice courts, 2 basketball courts for practice. So the job that my manager at Williams has now is a lot easier than the job that I had when I started there. But I had to balance all those different teams on that one court. And sometimes, sometimes it felt like you were babysitting the neighborhood kids, right? Because you always had to go out there and negotiate with the coaches. I always felt like it was a hostage negotiation with these guys. You got to go up to Clem and say, "Coach, you got to get off the floor. Women are getting ready for a game." You go, "Oh man, I need 15 more minutes." Go back to the women's basketball coach. "Can Coach get 15 more minutes?" And she would say, "Well, if I get 30 minutes tomorrow, he can have 50 minutes today." So I was going back and forth between the two, constantly trying to negotiate these different things. And I always met with the coaching staff before the season started and worked out practice times. And then I would review that weekly with their director of ops. Well, as soon as I walked on the court, talk to the basketball director of ops, and actually to talk to Clem about getting off the floor, he'd be sneaking down the stairs because he didn't want to get in trouble with Clem, because he didn't tell Clem that we had a women's basketball game on the floor and he had to get off. So I was always the bad guy. I was the guy caught in the middle. But my first real project was the remodel of Williams Arena and the Sports Pavilion. That was basically from 1990 to 1993. It was a $23 million project. Actually, it was part of a $46 million project, which included the construction of the new Mariucci Arena. So that was one project. We did them both at the same time. We actually did the phase 1 of that project was over the summer, and we had to have the ice plant and Williams Arena back in service for the next season. So we had hockey and basketball take place the next season. Then we shut down the facility and finished the project after that. But the goal of that project was gender equity, revenue generation, to improve competition in practice venues, and was also to maintain an iconic venue, which of course is Williams Arena. And some of the challenges we had with that project were money, and you'll hear this is a common theme throughout my presentation tonight. We're always short money when it comes to a project. We're always looking for ways to, we always have 10 pounds of potatoes, we're trying to put into a 5-pound bag of, five-pound bag. That's one of the things when the project managers used on this project. You know, you got 10 pounds of potatoes, 5-pound bag, something's got to give. So we were always looking for ways to maximize or stretch our dollars as long as we could. And we did a lot of value engineering in the projects. And I'll never forget, on this project, we got into the design phase, and we were over budget. We had a value engineer. So we sat down with the men's department. The men's department came up with some good ideas on how to value engineer the project down. We sat down with the women's department. They came up with some ideas for the men on how they could value engineer the project down and get down the budget. So it was that constant give and take that we had between the two departments. In the end, we got a great facility. The women ended up in the sports pavilion for basketball, volleyball, and gymnastics. Actually, our men's gymnastics team competes in there as well as wrestling. Gave them a great venue. We met our gender equity need. We gave them a facility that works for them. And they're still very proud of that facility. We actually moved women's basketball back into Williams Arena back when we had Lindsay Whalen and Janelle McCarville take us to the Final Four. And we did that after we had a sprinkler pipe break in the gym, and it flooded the floor, and it was riding the wave. The floor was waved, literally waved, because of the damage. So we had to move our entire season over back to Williams Arena that year, including basketball. Well, after we got the floor done, women's basketball stayed in Williams Arena because, of course, we all know what happened to Lindsay Whalen and that group. They started to draw 10,000 people per game, so it made perfect sense for them to stay where they were at. But that was my first real project. I had multiple ADs. Rick Bay was the guy that started it. Dan Miner was his number 2. When Rick was let go, Dan Miner stepped in as the interim AD. After they did a national search, Matt Boston was hired, and then the constant was Chris Holtz for that project. So again, I had 4 different ADs I had to work with and tried to make sure the project worked for all 4 of those ADs. So that was part of the challenge, working through the different ADs. Rick Bay actually came up with the idea for the project. He went to central administration, met with central administration, had this project all mapped out. I'll never forget, we're standing on with this picture here is the pavilions where the ice rink used to be. We were standing on the cement floor where the ice rink typically was in Mariucci. And they had a big media presentation of this project. I was standing next to Clem, and Clem Haskins was not happy because he wasn't getting a new facility. He wanted a new facility, not hockey. So we had to go back and retrench because Clem made enough noise about that we had to retrench. We had to look at different options. So we actually looked at hockey in Williams Arena. Could we fit a hockey rink in Williams Arena and still get, we had 7,500 seats in the old Mariucci. We had capacity on our waiting list for another 2,000 people easily. So we needed a bigger venue for hockey. We're looking at revenue, right? Generate more revenue off hockey. So we looked at Williams Arena. Could we possibly fit a rink in there? Couldn't fit it in there. We looked at the old Memorial Stadium, the horseshoe that closed in of Memorial. Could we make that into a rink? That wasn't feasible. So we ended up with what we ended up with, which was Mariucci and Williams Arena. So Mariucci, again, same thing. 20 feet, half of that $46 million project, the same 4 ADs, and then working through the logistics with the coaching staff. Doug Wu was a big proponent of Olympic ice, Olympic hockey, and at the time that was big in America. Everybody wanted to build an Olympic ice sheet, 100 by 200, so that's what this rink is. Within 2 years after building this rink, Doug Wu wanted to shrink it down to the NHL size because it's hard to recruit kids to high school kids to play on an Olympic sheet. It's just a different game. There's different, of course it's wider, so you're looking for faster guys. You go to an NHL rink, you got small guys who can skate fast, but and then they have the big guys who can play on the NHL rink. So that's one of the first things that Doug Wu wanted to do was shrink the rink, and we still haven't done that to this day. Someday we might, but that was one of the first challenges that we had after we moved into the facility. Again, it was all budget. Revenue generation for Mariucci We had a season ticket wait list of 2,000. We built the rink with 8,000 seats. 8,000 seats. And we had 2,000 standing room spots. We wanted ticket scarcity. A lot of people were pushing us to build it to 10,000 right away. But we thought that was too big of a jump, from 7,500 to 10,000. So we wanted to keep it at about 8,000 so that we had that ticket scarcity. And then we'd fill in the standing room only. Well, within a year, we added another 1,000 seats. We're at 9,000. Within 2 years, we added the top row of seats. We were at 10,000 seats in the Mariucci Arena. So that's how quick the demand for hockey went up when we moved into this new facility. One of the things we did here too was we had a on-campus group called Classroom Engineering. They did all of our sound at the games for us. They ran the PA board basically. So we were going through the design process, and the guy who was head of that department was involved in the design of the facility. He wanted to put all this sound baffling in the arena. But we didn't want that because we wanted the old Mariucci effect. We wanted the loud atmosphere in the facility. So we were going back and forth on that. And he said, well, if you're not going to do sound treatment, you might as well just put the old speakers from Memorial Stadium in Mariucci in this facility. We said, okay, you're the expert. We put the old speakers from Memorial Stadium in here. Worst decision we ever made. It was absolutely terrible. The first game we had up there, we had so many complaints. Because these are these old horns. Just big old horn speakers, There's no bass, there's no treble, it's just a speaker, and it just puts out sound. And it was absolutely terrible. The worst thing we ever did. And, we didn't want to do sound treatment. Luckily, there was a conference in town that summer. Bose was at this conference. They heard about our problem. They called me up. They brought me down to their hotel room. I brought my boss, Mark Diener, who was there at the time. He's not on this list, but he came after Mac Boston. But I brought Mark Diener down here and said, you got to listen to this, because I already listened to it. They put you in a headset, put your chin on put speakers on either side, put your chin on a little chin holder there, if you want to call it that, and said, this is your arena with our system. And I'm going, wow. If that's our arena with your system, let's go for it. So we ended up putting Bo's system in there, and it fixed our problem. It was another $200,000 above and beyond what we spent on the building to get that done. So that was one of the challenges, one of the unique features of that facility was the old speakers from Memorial Stadium. I think we still have one in the back room. I just saved it for posterity's sake and put it in the museum someday. But that was my first real project to get my feet wet. I never was really involved in project management before, never involved in construction of this magnitude in my career. And I worked at the city of Moorhead, like Tom had mentioned. I ran programs up there. I managed the rink, I managed the golf course, I managed our swimming pools, our playground programs, our baseball program, but never really built anything. So working with Mortensen was a unique experience. Mortensen was our contractor on Williams project, and Opus was on Mariucci. Working with Mortensen was a very good learning experience for me, because it really taught me what to do and how to manage a project from an end user standpoint. One of the funny things on this project was, I mentioned I always had to negotiate with the coaches to get them off the floor, so I also had to negotiate with the visiting coaches. So one time, of course, our women's team was practicing, the men had a game the next day. Michigan State was in town. That time I coached by Judd Heathcote. And Judd Heathcote looks like a bear. He's just a big, burly guy. So I'm out there trying to get our women off the court, and he comes stomping towards me, and he's just livid. He goes, we're supposed to be on the court right now. I say, Coach, I know, I'm working on it. Calm down, I'll get him off, get you on there. So that night, or the next night they played, we beat Michigan State. So the next day in the media, he's being interviewed, and he said, whoever designed this facility, Williams Arena, is either the town drunk or the village idiot. Because they left the court raised in Williams Arena. So the very next day after the game, Mortensen sent an RFI, which is a request for information, to the architect. And he said, and Tom Schmal was the project manager from Mortensen, he said, can you identify for us who the village idiot is and who the town drunk is? Because we want to make sure we can identify that in the plans moving forward. So that was one of those fun things that happened on the job. So the next project that we kind of took a little break, in 1993 we opened the facility, was trying to get our feet wet with how to operate the facility, put in the speaker system probably in about 1995, didn't do a lot of tweaks in Williams Arena after we opened that facility, until we did the barn lofts in 1997. So when we built Williams Arena, we actually had a camera platform over on this side of the building that didn't work. It was at the wrong height, it was at the wrong angle for TV, so we had to move them back over to this side of the rink, over the building, and put them in the front row of the upper deck. So I kept looking at that camera platform going, yeah, if we can do that in one spot here, why can't we do it in each one of these bays and make this into suites? And so we hired an architect. They came in, they verified we could do that. We had to do a lot of structural steel underneath there to support this. We had to reinforce these columns to support the barn lofts, but we ended up building barn lofts. And the challenges here we had were sight lines. I sat in the seat, the very first seat, and the architect was, there's certain code heights for the railings, right? So, it could be so far off the floor. Well, he was worried about the height of the barn loft and, being so high up in the facility that he had that rail as high as he could get it. I sat in this first seat, and I couldn't see anything out until he got up to half the mid-quarter of the floor. I said, this isn't going to work. So we had to come back and take those down, and we had them set those rails so that the rail was right here, where the player bench is, so you can still see the floor when you sit in that first row up here. That was one of our challenges with that project. The other challenge was we actually didn't become a problem for us until 1999, but we opened these the year after we went to the Final Four for the men. So we all know what happened to that Final Four, right? It never really happened. So the first year after we opened these, we were all sold out. And up until probably about 1999 or 2000, we didn't have any problem selling these barn lofts. But after that, it became a little bit more of a challenge. But we hit the market at the right time. It was a pretty good price. I had two ADs I had to work with, Mark Dienhart and Chris Bowles. Mark Dienhart was supportive, of course, because this meant more revenue to the men's athletic department. Chris Bowles was supportive as well because it meant more revenue to the bottom line of the department. So it was a win-win for both men and women. And that was the main goal of the project, was to generate revenue for the facility. So then, the same year, we ended up hiring Glenn Mason as our new football coach. And I remember walking with Glenn his first week on the job, and we walked through the facility, and he had a couple of interior decorators with us. And, he was talking about, we need more light here, we need to paint this wall, we need some carpet here, that kind of stuff. Well, $7.7 million later, we had what he wanted. So it turned out to be not just paint and carpet and lighting, it was a complete remodel of the entire complex. So we actually ended up taking half of what was the Beerman Gym at the time. The Beerman Gym, made that into the weight room. They were downstairs in the lower level of the existing Gibson Nagurski in a 5,000 square foot weight room, which at the time was pretty big. It's not a bad size for football. We moved them up to the Beerman Gym. They had 9,000 square feet, so they gained 4,000. And the new facility we just opened up, they had 16,000 square feet of weight room space just for football. So you can tell the growth of the programs, the needs of the programs have just grown exponentially with each decade or each new hire, actually. Anytime you hire a coach, you end up spending money in order to take care of your needs and your wants. So that was a $7.7 million project over 3 years. We did a weight room. We put a new entry onto the Gibson Nagurski. We built out this Hall of Fame. You can see just a piece of this Hall of Fame here. We remodeled the offices. I remember, I'm always one to be inclusive, so I had Glenn Mason in the furniture selection session with me in. He picked out exactly the couch he wanted. He picked out the cloth and the pattern he wanted on the couch. And everything on the couch shows up, and he's sitting outside of the office, and he goes, "Who the heck picked out this couch?" I said, "Coach, you picked it up." So he wasn't happy to hear that when I told him that. But he was a good guy. I really liked Glenn. Glenn did a lot of good things for the University of Minnesota. I always got along well with Glenn. And, he went to, I don't know how many bowl games and how many years, but quite a few. So he was pretty successful at the University of Minnesota. Again, Mark Dienhart was the AD, and Chris Bowles was the AD for the women's department. We had $3 million from the state on this one. McKinley Boston, at this time, was over in the president's office. in the Office of Student Development and Athletics. So we oversaw athletics and rec sports. So the governor and Mac Boston were close. Governor Arnie Carlson and Mac were close. So the governor actually kicked in $3 million for this project, which is great because it helped us with getting the project done. But it also created an equity issue for us because we're spending $3 million on the men, we had to spend $3 million on the women. So we actually kicked in another $3 million to help us build Robbie Stadium for soccer and college softball stadium. So we actually started those right after we started the project for football, and finished those in 2000. We actually added soccer in 1992, I believe, so we actually had them play over on a rec sports field with temporary bleachers and a temporary press box, which was not Division I, Big Ten quality, but that's the best we could do at that time. So this was a huge upgrade for them, and we ended up building this soccer complex for them with 1,000 permanent seats, a permanent press box, a locker room, a beautiful field. It's located right on the golf course property, which is a beautiful location at the University of Minnesota. So it turned out to be a really good project for the women's athletic department and for the soccer team. Softball, we upgraded their facility right where it was. They had a rec sports softball field with temporary bleachers, a temporary press box. We ended up building a permanent seating room for 750 people, a permanent press box, a locker room. So we made a lot of good improvements for both departments. The challenge with this project was the original field and where we wanted to build this facility was across Larpenteur Avenue, across from the golf course, right next to a retired faculty housing complex or apartment building. Very nice facility. A lot of retired faculty live there. But of course, it rose up in arms against us and they didn't want us to build our facility over on that property. So we'd go to town hall meetings in the city of Falcon Heights, and these old retired faculty professors and their wives would come in, they'd offer cookies to you. Here's have some cookies, so glad to see you, and so pleased that we're there to talk to them, and then the next half hour they just rip into you and call you every name in the book. So it was quite an eye-opening experience dealing with those people. But in the end, they won. So we actually had to move the facility from where we wanted to put it. And the Board of Regents actually said, Tom, Board of Regents here, the Board of Regents said, this is where you're going to build it, rec sports. You're going to have to live with it, basically, what they said. So in order for us to build where rec sports at softball fields, we had to agree that they could use our facility on a limited basis. So that's what we ended up doing, sharing this facility with rec sports as much as we possibly could. Then in 2000, we had another gender equity issue with office space. So when I started, we had up to 3 people, and I think in baseball, for example, boys, and John was back in the back corner of Bierman, and I think Rob and somebody else shared an office, and John had a small office, and tennis was in the same suite as baseball. The head coach and the assistant coach shared offices. It was even tighter on the women's side, where we had three people in one sport in one office. We had an assistant coach, or we had a head coach office out of a cubicle in an open office environment. So you might think that's okay. People can work in those type of environments. There's no doubt about it, but it's not Division I, Big Ten caliber. So again, the university stepped up and they actually paid for this $7.6 million project, and we remodeled all of Bierman. So we actually moved everybody out, moved the men's department up into Williams Arena, club room, we moved the women's department into the pavilion club room, we moved softball into their complex, soccer into their complex, golf moved over to the golf course. We had all these sports dispersed all around campus for 8 months when we finished this project and remodeled it. And in the end, we ended up satisfying our gender equity needs, and then we also improved the working environment for all staff. Not only the sports staff, but the support units and support staff as well. So that was another big project where we had a lot of logistics. We had a lot of people to move out. We had a lot of stuff we had to store for the 8 months we were doing the project, and in the end, it all worked out pretty well, and we moved into an improved environment for the department. So then in 2001, we had the same situation. We had in Williams Arena, we had a TV platform right over here, located somewhere in this area of Marriott Arena. And we looked at that. we said, well, why can't we fill each one of those bays with suites? So again, for $3.7 million, we built suites over Marriott's Arena. And back in 2001, the heyday of the WCHA, again, we had no issue selling those suites. The ADs were Tom Lowe and Chris Voles. The goal was revenue generation. We were selling out every game. We still had a waiting list of 2,000 people at Mariucci. And this added to the environment of Mariucci. Who's been to a game there? I mean, it's been laggy lately, but back in the day when this was WCHA hockey, the environment was unbelievable. One of the best environments in college hockey. And we're so thankful we didn't do the sound attenuation in the rafters because they kept it nice and loud in the facility, much to the chagrin of the classroom engineer that we worked with. But that was a huge project for us. There's a lot of logistics to this. We actually had to go in and underpin the footings on Marriott Arena, so they had to go into the loading dock and into the back ramp, and they had to excavate down to the footings and then basically pump cement underneath the footings in order to support these suites up on the north side of the facility. So it was a challenging project. It was one that Mortensen did for us again, and they figured out how to do it with very little disruption to the overall operation of Marriott Arena. Now those suites are a big part of all the events we're hosting. This has become one of the leading graduation facilities on campus. Just about every college has their graduation here. We have multiple high school graduations in here. I bet you in 25 days we have 28 graduations in this facility, so it's really turned into a campus-wide venue that a lot of people use for different events. So again, we built the Ritter. I mean, we actually added women's hockey, I believe it was 1997, if I remember right. And they played in the old Mariucci, not the old Mariucci, in Mariucci Arena, which is, good. It was a good facility for them as far as the ice sheet. We had a locker room for them, but of course, their crowd was not even close to filling up the lower deck. So we actually were approached by Governor Carlson again after the North Stars left. There was rumors that the Arizona Coyotes were looking to leave Arizona, and he wanted to bring them to Minnesota. So we approached Mac Boston again, and he actually wanted to build a practice rink next to Mariucci. When we designed Mariucci, we actually looked at a second sheet next to Mariucci. That was always in the plan. We put in what we call a hammerhead, an access point into the second ice sheet. Someday we thought we'd build a second ice sheet there. Well, sure enough, Carlson came calling. We wanted to build a practice rink for an NHL team right on campus. This is right where our tennis courts were. I oversaw the tennis courts, so we had to be creative and think of, well, how can we build a combo facility, tennis and hockey? At the time, like I said, we were looking at a practice rink. So we actually had the rink below grade where it is now, but we actually had tennis courts on top of it. So it was a two-story structure. Actually, it was a huge structure. It was taller than Mariucci Arena. We had 12 indoor courts on top of the ice rink. And as we went through the process, that became too expensive for our blood. We couldn't afford to do that for $20 million. So we started to look at separating the two, building tennis off to the side versus on top. Got back within our $20 million budget. Then the NHL dropped out. NHL wasn't going to come to Minnesota. So we were too far down the road. We already had a lot of support from the Women's Athletic Department and their boosters to build some sort of an ice sheet here for women's hockey. So as the more and more we talked about it, we said, why don't we do a mini Mariucci, a mini bowl? That's what we ended up building for $20 million. And right next to this is the tennis complex. So we actually have both under one roof, and we have 3,500 seats in this facility, which is perfect for women's hockey. We just hosted the Women's Frozen Four. They had their championship game today, and this place is sold out. And it's a great environment for hockey when you come down here for women's hockey. Have a lot of high school hockey games in here as well. It's perfect size for high school hockey. This is a great venue for campus. All of our venues are, other than Williams Arena and Athens Village complexes, are pretty much open to the general student body. So we have rec sports in here, we have kinesiology in here, we have rec sports and kinesiology over at TCF Bank Stadium. So we're kind of a partner on campus. We have rec sports and kinesiology in the tennis center as well. So we try to build facilities that are used by the entire campus community on a regular basis. Our big challenge here, again, I mentioned it before, the common theme is money, right? So 20 million was what we got from, I think we got 10 from the state, we had to raise 10 million in additional funds. And we had a project at one time that was like at 25 million. So we had to cut out of this project in order to make it work. As usual, we ended up, we had locker rooms on this side of the building. We had to move it over to this side, and common spines, and different value engineering ideas we had to come up with in order to get the facility built. But it's a great facility for women's hockey. The men, because this is an NHL-sized rink, 85 by 200, will come over here and practice before they go into postseason play. Because all postseason games are played on 85 by 200 rinks. So they'll spend a lot of time practicing over here in this facility. We added rowing in 1997, and for the first 10 years of their existence, they practiced on the Mississippi River. They operated out of a tent, believe it or not. Division I program operated out of a tent on the Mississippi River. And we would have to go down, we left the tent up year-round. We'd have to go down there in the wintertime and scrape all the snow off the tent so it wouldn't collapse. But you know, it was amazing how they operated for 10 years out of a tent. But we started this project in 2006 and opened it in 2007. It's right on the Mississippi River, down in the right down below Kaufman Memorial Union. Great facility for the crew teams, both men's and women's crew. So and men's crew is a club team through rec sports. But we added this sport basically for gender equity purposes in order to get our participation numbers up. We have 80 women rowers on the women's varsity crew team. So those numbers help us with our gender equity numbers and our Title IX compliance. Excuse me here. Our challenge on this project was working with the park board, quite honestly. We thought we had to deal with the park board where we could build this facility in the park. And had agreement basically in principle with the park board. And then one staff person went out to the neighborhood surrounding the park and got all the neighborhood folks against this project. So we ended up having to put it on hold for 2 years until we could go through the logistics with the park board in order to get this facility built. Eventually, I think that person ended up leaving so that we had a lot more success. But that person was gone. But it was a challenge, to be honest with you. You know, it was very frustrating for the coach because working out of a tent, trying to win championships and develop student athletes was not an easy thing for her to do. So this is a great facility. I actually had my son's wedding right down here. This is a big one a lot of people talk about, right? TCF Bank Stadium. A lot of people are very interested in what we did, how we did it. We actually started looking at new football stadiums on campus in 1997. So Mark Dienhart came to me, and he was the AD at the time, and he said, where can we put a football stadium on campus? So I started to talk to different people on campus, asking that question. You know, where can we put a stadium? And we looked at the fairground, which is on campus, but it's on the same course with the St. Paul campus. We actually looked right where the grandstand is over on the state fairgrounds. A lot of open space over there, close to St. Paul campus. Problems we had there were parking. Getting to that site was pretty difficult. And then just the availability of land through the state fair board. We actually looked at the river flats right below Kaufman Union. You know, thinking, well, maybe we can rework the river bluff and fit a stadium down there. Didn't fit, so we moved on from there. So back in 1997, we actually landed on this site where TCF is now. It was a parking lot that was on campus. And it was just a dream that Mark Dienhart had. He saw the vision, though. He had the long-term vision of the Metrodome someday going away because the Vikings were already making noise about building their own stadium. He knew if the Vikings left, that the Metrodome became less and less viable for us. And then if the Twins also were making noise about building their own stadiums, they both left. We had no place to go. It was either move into the Metrodome and take that over, which, again, that was an antiquated building that was in dire need of some repairs, and with that inflatable roof that seemed to deflate whenever it wanted to and cause problems for a lot of people. We were looking for our own opportunities. So in 1997, when we first started looking at where could a stadium fit on campus, by 2000, we were already talking with the Vikings about a joint use facility on this site on campus. So we actually looked at building Gopher Viking Stadium with a roof on it, just like they have now on this site. And that facility would have been just as big as US Bank Stadium is now. I mean, that's how big that stadium was on this site. It would have been the biggest facility on campus by far. It would have been the tallest building on campus by far. It would have dwarfed Williams Arena. But that's what we're looking at. And we got all the way through the design process. Excuse me, the pre-design process. And the Vikings started to make noise about wanting to control all the revenue that came into the stadium. Well, that didn't fit with our model, which we wanted to control the revenue in the stadium as well. So we ended up actually mutually parting ways on good terms, understanding that your stadium, capacity-wise and revenue-wise would be great, but capacity-wise it wouldn't work for us. We didn't need a 68,000 seat stadium. You know, we did our analysis on Gopher football at Memorial Stadium, and even at the Metrodome, we typically average right around 48 to 50,000 fans per year over many years. So our goal was to build a 55,000 seat stadium on campus. The Vikings wanted their 68 to 73,000 seat stadium. So it didn't work. It wasn't going to work for both of us. So we parted ways. We started to work in our own facility. We did a pre-design with a company out of Kansas City, and we actually had our stadium oriented north-south on this site. This is east-west, which is unique for a football stadium, although it's not unique on the West Coast. A lot of stadiums on the West Coast are oriented east-west. Most facilities in the Midwest are north-south. That's for sun angles. That's one thing we're finding out with this stadium. Right now, when there's snow, this side of the stadium is completely melted right now. This side is completely full of snow because of the sun. Of course, the sun is blocked by this tower here, so the sun can't melt the snow on the side of the stadium. So that's why in the Midwest, most stadiums are oriented north-south. So our pre-design was north-south. We had all the amenities in here. We had loge boxes, we had suites, we had club seats, we had beautiful locker room, we had, all those different things. We had capacity to host concerts, which we do in this facility. We had everything we needed, and went to the legislature, got them on our side, convinced them that we needed our stadium on campus. They kicked in $155 million of a $288 million project. We ended up hiring Populous, a different company that actually did the design for us, and through their design process, they actually said, you know what, wouldn't it be nice if you could sit in the stadium and have beautiful views of downtown Minneapolis from the stadium? Sounded like a great idea to us, so that's how we ended up with this orientation east-west. And it is, it's great views from the stadium. The only problem we have is right now we're trying to host United Soccer, which we just had our first game yesterday. The snow is up in the upper deck. We had to remove snow from this side of the stadium in order to have the game. It's also awfully cold. That's why the Vikings, when they were here in 2014 and 15, the Vikings were on this sideline. So the sun was always on them, and it was a lot warmer for them. So Coach Fleck actually wants to flip sidelines someday, but still working on that. So this is a $288.5 million project. A lot of moving parts here. We met with different groups throughout the surrounding neighborhood multiple times. We had to basically convince them that this was not going to be an impact on their life, on their daily life. We did an EIS, environmental impact study on the stadium, which is required. We looked at traffic, we looked at noise, we looked at all the different impacts of the stadium. We had to actually commit, not legally commit, but we had to, in the document, we said we would host no more than 12 major events per year in the TCF Bank Stadium. 7 of those are football games. And we wanted to leave a little wiggle room for us in case we hosted concerts, so we wanted to host up to 5 additional events. So concerts, soccer games, you name it, just other major events in the stadium. So of course, along come the Vikings, and they played 20 games in 2 years in our stadium. So that kind of blew the EIS right out of the water when it came to them. But the reason we had so much success with the neighborhood when the Vikings showed up was because we had proven to them we can manage the stadium without impacting their life negatively with the events that we had in the facility. So that was a lot of hard work on our part convince the neighborhood that it was the good facility, and it's not going to impact them negatively. We had a huge campaign. We talked about bringing football back to campus, but the real message we had was this is the collegiate way. The collegiate way is different than the pro way. The collegiate way is marching bands and tailgating and coming back to campus and celebrating with the people you went to school with. I remember at homecoming, Tim wasn't there, but Tim went to the pharmacy school with brother Tim, and they invited me to come back and to speak to that group. So I went back and spoke to them, and it was just great to see the enthusiasm and the people back on campus. Quite honestly, on Saturdays when we were at the Metrodome, campus was dead. There was nobody on campus. So it was just a dead atmosphere. So bringing back to campus, getting people back on campus, get them to reconnect with their colleges, not just with athletics, but with the pharmacy school, with the College of Liberal Arts, with College of Education and Human Development, all the different colleges, reconnect with the people that you went to school with and reconnect back on campus. That was what the real goal was with the stadium. And I call the stadium, actually, I said the TCF Bank Stadium is a multi-use venue when we play football. Because we have over 300 different events in this facility on any given year, from different colleges having reception in the facility, educational sessions. We have Carlson School over here for a recruitment, employee recruitment sessions. We have kinesiology, the marching band, and the rec sports on the field on a daily basis. So really, it's a multi-use venue when we play 7 football games per year. And it's turned out to be one of the greatest facilities on campus as far as just campus involvement and campus interest. The AD at the time only had one I had to work with, which was Joel Maturi, which made it a lot easier. We did have 2 football coaches. We had Glenn Mason at the very start. Glenn was there at the ceremonial groundbreaking. Of course, then he got fired, and Tim Brewster came in, and Tim Brewster was the one that was on staff through the completion of the project. The one positive that Tim Brewster brought to the University of Minnesota, Tim Brewster was a good guy, got along well with them, didn't have much success as a football coach, but he's the one that brought in the football-shaped locker room. Have you heard about that? So at TCF Bank Stadium, we have a football-shaped locker room that's 60 yards long by 30 yards wide. And all the lockers are around the outer edge of that locker room. That's the one thing that Tim Brewster brought into the facility, into TCF Bank Stadium. And it's a huge recruiting tool for us. It's the biggest locker room in college football. And at the time, we had the biggest scoreboard in college football, but as soon as we got that built, I think it was Mississippi put up one bigger. So now we're not the biggest, but it was the biggest scoreboard in college football at one time. This is a great facility. It was a great project to work on. I remember our first game. We had a practice run. We had a fall scrimmage here, so we invited all the season ticket holders in. It went flawlessly, fantastic environment for the fans. Everybody was excited about it. Our first game, we had lines wrapping all the way around the stadium. And I'm just going, you got to be kidding me. All the practice, all the preparation we did, we got lines, and people got in late for the kickoff. And it was pretty disheartening. So we had to go back and we had to work with our security company and get people in faster, and we got better the next game. But again, all the preparation we did in order to make this into a successful event, it still was a success, but we had a few hiccups at the first game. But after that, it was flawless. It was a great environment for that first season. It still is a great environment. Coach Fleck loves this facility. He tries to practice over here every Friday before a game, whether it's on the road or whether it's at home. He'll bring the entire team over, and he'll practice out on the field. Same time we were doing another iconic facility, we were doing TCF Bank Stadium, we actually replaced the floor of Williams Arena. So the old floor of Williams Arena was a suspended floor joist floor. There was dirt underneath it, and there was a concrete rim around the edge. So you couldn't bring anything that had a lot of weight out in the middle of the floor, otherwise it would go through the floor. Actually, back in 1980, before I got there, back in 1984, there were a couple of electricians working on the old scoreboard, not this one, the old scoreboard, and it fell through the floor. And they skedaddled out of there and didn't tell anybody, so this facility staff came in the next day and saw the scoreboard sitting through the middle of the basketball floor. So that was a rude awakening for those guys when they came in the next day. But The majority of the floor, we found out when we replaced it, was the original floor, except for that middle piece where they had to replace it, from 1928. So it was amazing to be able to pull that floor up and see the layers of paint. But just to realize that that floor was put in 1928, and actually it was a portable floor for the first, I don't know how many years. Williams Arena used to be a field house. I don't know if anybody knew that, but it used to be a dirt floor in there, and that's where football, baseball, track, and other sports were practicing there. It was one big open hangar, so that middle wall here was not in the facility. It was just one big facility, and it was a dirt floor. And they actually parked cars in there on football game days back in the 40s and 50s. Or excuse me, the 40s, because in the 50s they remodeled this and they made it into the facility you see nowadays. So we replaced the floor. Like I mentioned, it was a floor joist, suspended floor, dirt underneath here, we poured cement. I've talked to numerous basketball coaches. Every time they walk in and we start talking about the floor, they say, why can't we lower the floor? They all want the floor lowered and at the concourse level or at grade. The reason we can't do that is because these seats are so shallow in the lower deck that if you lower the floor, you have all these would be obstructed seats because they won't be able to see the action on the court. So that's why the court's raised, because this is such a shallow plane, that lower deck, that people can't see over the head in front of them if the floor was down at this grade here. So we kept the floor raised. It does create challenges for us when we want to bring baskets on and off. But the beauty of this is we actually can bring the baskets on and off. Back when I started there, we had these little goosenecks that were permanently mounted, and we could never take it down. So we always have to work around them. So the beauty of this is we have to take these baskets down. This is where the men and women practice for years, right? And it's not an adequate practice facility because they can only put 4 baskets on this court, and they can shoot at each basket. But when there's practice going on, all the players not in the practice session, and we can't have everybody run up and down the court, would be on the sideline just watching. So the beauty, and we'll get to that in a second, or in a minute or two, the beauty of the Athletes Village project is we actually have a court and a half. So we actually have a full court, like you see here. We have 3-point arcs off to the side here, so actually, when practice is taking place, we can have players shooting on the side. You'll see that in the picture. I'll bring it up in a second. But this is a great project because it really preserved the iconic value of the Williams Arena, one of the most iconic venues in the country. And it was fun to work on because this is the history of Williams Arena and the history of the floor. Discovering that it was from 1928, and seeing, I think we found a hammer that was left in the dirt underneath this floor when they excavated all the dirt and put in good dirt for the cement. So it was really interesting to work on the project. They actually built a tent over the top of the floor, and they worked underneath this tent. And that was to keep the dust from floating all throughout the entire building. Who remembers the big game in 2010? December 20th, the Vikings versus the Bears. I was actually, a week before that, we had that big snowfall where the dome deflated. You can't say it collapsed because the dome people got very excited about that, so the dome deflated. I was shoveling out my driveway, and I got done and went in the house, and I had like 20 voicemails on my phone. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I started listening to them, and it was call me back right away. Call me, the Vikings called me. Senior leadership on campus called me. So I called the senior leadership on campus back, and they said the dome deflated overnight because they had all that snow and couldn't support the snow. And we all saw the video, right? The snow crashing through the roof of the dome. And they wanted to play their game. They were supposed to play that Sunday. It was a Sunday. They wanted to play their game the next day. They ended up taking that game to Detroit, if you remember. But they wanted to play that game at TCF the next day. I said, well, there's no way. There's no way we could play the next day because we shut down our facility for the winter. Number one, it was winterized. Number two, we had 3 feet of snow throughout the entire stadium, so there's no way we could get it out in time to play. So they wanted to play their December 20th. Of course, it was their 50th anniversary game, I think it was. I think they had all their legends back for that game. December 20th game at TCF Bank Stadium. So the very next day, I go into the office and we're sitting around talking about, okay, we got to get this done. Basically, is what I said. Talking to my crew at TCF Bank Stadium, they're telling me we can't do it. And I said, you got to do it. And they said, we can't do it. And I said, there's helicopters flying around outside watching us right now. Start getting a loader out here, get some dump trucks, and start hauling snow off this field and out of the stadium. So they did. We actually got it done in a week, which was amazing. And the work that went into it was unbelievable. And you could see the amount of snow we had. You know, this is the upper deck. You know, this is the snow we had to get out of the facility. And it was the best quote ever was from our subcontractor. And if you ever want to go on YouTube, you can actually find a video of this effort that we had. And he said, and he's quoted as saying in this video, he said, this is like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. And that's exactly what it was, one bite at a time. We had to take the snow out of this facility. So we had $300,000 in rent, which our typical rent for the facility is $125,000, but we negotiated $300,000 with the Vikings. We had a split on concessions. The expenses, believe it or not, were $1.2 million. I mean, it was not a cheap game for the Vikings to pull off. They paid all those expenses as well. It wasn't easy for them to pay those expenses. A lot of back and forth, a lot of negotiation, a lot of, are you kidding me? We have to pay that? And so that was a huge project for us to undertake. I'll never forget Joe Maturi was so proud of the job that we did in order to get this ready for the Vikings. He was just over the top. Of course, the day of the game, what happens? It snows. And he was just totally demoralized that it was snowing that day because we had done such a good job getting the stadium ready for this game. But he kept asking me, oh, come on, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? I said, well, if you want to grab a shovel, Joel, come on out and shovel. But he, as AD, you know, of course, I wouldn't make him do that. So I said, you know what? Roger Goodell's coming to town. I want you to be Roger Goodell's personal, not assistant, but buddy, basically. You just hang with Roger. That's all you got to do. He was over the top of that. I mean, he was just blown away that he got to hang with Roger Goodell for one whole day. He just took Roger all over the stadium, all over the campus. I mean, it was a fantastic event. And we had media covering this event from all over the country. You know, I mean, this was unbelievable. And the question I got all the time, you can see the chute system we had to do. We basically had to invent this. We hadn't even done a snow game yet, really, at TCF Bank Stadium. We had to remove snow from the stadium. We had no idea. We had an idea, but we had never done it, so we didn't really know how to do this. So we had to invent this that week. So we came up with these chutes. So we get the snow from the upper deck down to the lower deck, down to the field, where we could scoop it up with a big front-end loader, put it in these dump trucks, and they could haul it off. We had help, too. They weren't much help, but they were help. We were being watched by the world, right? The media from not only the metro area, but around the entire country were here watching what we did. That was the message I gave to my crew at TCF. The world's watching us. We have to do this. We've got helicopters flying around right now. They're watching every move we make, and they're expecting us to do this. We have to do this. So I was reluctantly, I was chosen. They didn't care, but reluctantly, I was the guy put out in front of the media. I didn't want to do this. I'm an old lineman, right, from my high school days and college days. Played offensive line. I don't like to be out in front. I like to be the guy that's blocking, making the holes, and let other people take the glory. You know. So I was nominated to be the spokesperson. So it was cold. I mean, it was really cold this entire week. But I made a point. I said, I'm not going to wear a hat because I don't want people to think that us Minnesotans are soft. So I spent the entire week outside giving interviews with no hat on. And by the end of the week, by Friday, I had to wear a hat. I had it. I was way too cold that entire week. But that was my goal, was to show these people that us Minnesotans were tough. We could handle this weather and the snow and so on and so forth. So I did all these interviews, and the one thing that really disappointed me was our media crew took a picture of me flashing. all these media people. What really is happening here is they're putting these lapel mics on me. So these guys said, I've never seen that many lapel mics on one person. I had 30 on each side of my jacket. And that's how many media were there. And they would ask me all these questions about, well, what's the contract? I told our media guy, I said, Gary, I don't want to answer any questions about, I can't answer any questions about the contract. So can you go out there before I get out there and just say, no questions about the contract? So the first question every time was, what about the contract? How much are they paying? You know, I'm not going to answer those questions. Don't ask those questions. So then they started to ask the questions about how much snow we were moving and so on and so forth. You know, I wasn't smart enough to figure out exactly how much snow we were taking out of the stadium, but I asked somebody who was, and he said if you were to stack the amount of snow we took out of the stadium, it would go from sideline to sideline. End zone to end zone would be as tall as goalposts on a football field. That's how much snow we took out of the stadium that week. We got it done in a week, too. And here's the media horde surrounding me, which I absolutely hated. Every time I had to go out there, I had to talk myself into doing it. And then they tricked me, like Tom did, to come here today. They tricked me into going into the media room to do an interview, and I had no idea that the bigwigs from the NFL would be in there as well. So the number 2 guy, Robbie Goodell, was in there, the number 3 guy, and they're all watching me and going, oh boy, I'm on stage here right now. And that's where I said, this is a labor of love, and that's the soundbite that I got put on the media that day. I had people who were over in Italy. I oversaw the tennis teams at this time, and some of the parents were over in Italy, and they came back and they said this story was the talk of Italy as well. So that's how big this had grown in that time frame. But it was a great event, one of the funnest events I've worked on. I think I worked 18 hours a day for a solid week. I'd go home, get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd be gone by 6 a.m. back at the stadium, trying to get this job done. I had a great crew doing the work for me, or not for me, but for the University of Minnesota. We had great partnership on the University of Minnesota. Everybody pulled together. It was one of those events where, people could have been at each other's, fighting throughout the entire process, but everybody pulled together. It was fantastic. Parking pulled together, athletics, public safety, police, central administration, all the different groups pulled together. So it was one of my favorite events on campus. I'd like to tell a story about my dad too. I was fortunate to be able to invite my parents and my wife and my son to the game, and they got to sit in the suite. So, of course, you have to know that for 2 years or more, Mom and Dad would come down to a basketball game, and every time they came, it snowed. Every single time. So this game, of course, was happening. It's snowing, it's icy. It took them like 4 hours to get down to the cities from Alexandria. It was a terrible trip for him. I think Dad was frazzled. He gets in the suite, and of course Joel Maturi's in there along with his wife Lois, and then Tubby Smith's there with his wife. We just hired Jerry Killies in the suite with his wife, and there's a couple other coaches in there as well. And Dad walks in and he introduces himself as my son. He says, "Hi, my name is Dale Ellison, and I am Scott's son." So I walk in at halftime, and first thing Dale sees me and goes, "Hey, Dale, your dad's here." What the heck are you talking about? So I think that was a fun game for a lot of people. The game was actually a culmination of a lot of hard work, and it was a really, really fun week. A lot of hard work, but a really fun week to be involved with the stadium, with the Minnesota Vikings. So going back to projects, because the Metrodome was going away, and actually we finished this project right before the Metrodome did go away. We had to rebuild, we had to basically build a new Siebert Field. So Siebert Field actually for years, the home of Gopher baseball, because the Metrodome was available to Gopher baseball, they played a majority of their games down there. And so we kept talking about putting money into Siebert, and of course we worked with the coaches on all of these efforts. And working with John, he kept saying, don't put a lot of money in Seabrook. We need it to be a good practice venue. We need it to service 1 or 2 games a year, but we're going to play all of our games down at the Metrodome. And I think the Stidle boys, you guys play a lot of games down at the Metrodome, right? You play any games here at the old Seabrook? Yeah. So, but we didn't put a lot of money into it. So as the Metrodome it became a reality that the Metrodome was going to go away, we needed to have some place for Gopher baseball to play. So John, who was very successful at raising money and is very well connected in the baseball community, John Anderson, our head coach, not only in Minnesota but nationally, really led the effort on raising the $7.3 million we needed in order to get this project done, and did a great job. We've got a lot for our money. We got 2,500 seats. We just have bird seating, and we're lacking a little bit for support facilities, but it's a great facility for baseball. And John was instrumental in getting that done for us for the University of Minnesota. Now, as of 2012, 2015, we actually added a hitting facility for $1.1 million to the complex as well. Again, John went out and raised that money for that facility as well. And like I said, the goal was to provide a home for Gopher baseball. We actually had an alumni game here. The last game was Siebert. We're getting ready to break ground on the new stadium, and played the game. And the very next, or actually that night, the batter's eye fell over because it got blown over by some heavy winds. And if that happened during the game, it probably would crush the center fielder who was out there playing center field. But that's how bad that stadium was, and how in need of replacement it was as well. So this is a great facility. A total of $8.4 million well spent. And we actually got rid of the bubble finally that was out in the left field, which is a real pain in Coach Anderson's side. And if it's a problem for Coach Anderson, it's a problem for me. So every spring I'd have to work hard to get that bubble down and negotiate with rec sports, and it wasn't always easy, but it's a great facility for baseball, and it's one of the best in the Big Ten. When we hired Coach Kill, we did another remodel project. Of course, when you hire new coaches, they want to make changes, right? So he went out and raised $2.1 million to remodel Gibson and Gracie again. And we actually remodeled the locker room. These are the lockers that he put into the facility. We remodeled the offices, and we remodeled the team lounge. So again, a $2.1 million project. And again, something we typically do for a coach when they come in. Typically, we help them fundraise, but a lot of times, because you have a new coach, a lot of money comes in the door because they want that coach to be successful. So that's what happened here. Coach Kill came in, made a lot of friends, and did raise money for this project. I mentioned the Vikings in 2010. Well, in 2014 and 15, while their stadium was being built, they played at TCF Bank Stadium. Again, that was a great opportunity to work with the NFL and work with the Vikings. We had $3 million in rent per year from the Vikings. We ended up spending half that on the Williams Arena roof, which is the next slide, or 2 slides from now. We did $6.2 million in facility improvements. That was actually probably the toughest part of the project, was trying to negotiate those facility improvements for the Vikings. The main facility improvement was they wanted to heat the field. And they came up with, of course, that was a good chunk of that. It's probably about 2.5 to 2.8 million of that 6.2. And they wanted to save money, so they wanted to tent the field. They wanted to put a tube down the middle and put a tarp over the top of the field, over that tube, and just heat it that way. And they kept saying that, this is popular over in Europe for soccer fields. And we kept saying, well, the European climate is not the Minnesota climate, so that probably isn't going to work. It took a lot of convincing to get them to put the tubing underneath the field. We actually have a heated field now with tubing, 30 miles of tubing underneath the field that heats that provides glycol throughout the entire subsurface of the field. So we looked at different heating methods for the field when we built the stadium, but to be honest with you, we were done at that time. Our season was done before Thanksgiving, so we didn't need any field heat because, of course, the average temperature in Minnesota before Thanksgiving is 40 degrees. So we didn't need any heat in the field. But when the Vikings got here, we played the playoff game against the Seahawks, January 6th, I believe it was. It was 16 below, real temperature, and that would have been impossible without the field heat. So it was a good investment by the Vikings. Of course, they left it behind for us. We do use it. In fact, we're using it now for soccer because they had their first game yesterday, and we actually had the field heat on probably about a month ago. It'll melt about an inch of snow. It's about 80 degrees underneath the field. That's how hot we keep it, and it'll melt a good inch of snow. But dealing with the Vikings was a learning experience. You know, I learned a lot in 2010. I learned a lot more in 2014 and 15 working with them on a daily basis. You know, for the NFL and for the Vikings, it's all about business. I mean, it's the bottom line. That's all that matters. You can see that if you read the paper, you know, some of the moves they make. You know, they cut guys, they sign guys. You know, it's all about business. It doesn't matter what you've done for them. It's the bottom line. You know, that's something that I learned working with the Vikings, but quite honestly, they always treated me really well when I dealt with them. I got my son an internship with the Vikings. He's a lawyer, and I talked to their legal counsel, Kevin Moore, who's now is their president of the Vikings. He actually got my son Paul an internship with the Vikings in their legal department. And they pulled him into the office his first week there, and he said, now, because we were negotiating on these facility improvements, he said, now you're going to hear stuff in this office about your dad, and about the University of Minnesota. You can't go back and talk to them about this stuff. So basically, you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement with him and say, anything you hear in the office stays in the office. And he came home and told me that. And I said, okay, what are they talking about? He said, I can't tell you. But he would come to meetings and sit in the back and just take notes, and it was interesting to see him there and give him that experience to be able to be involved with the NFL and the Vikings like that. He actually met Adrian Peterson. He was in Kevin Warren's office and talking to Kevin Warren, and Adrian Peterson came in with pound cake and offered him a piece of pound cake, and Paul said, no, thank you. And I said, why would you not take a piece of pound cake from Adrian Peterson? He said he shook his hand, and his hand is true. His hand is like a vice, and it's huge. So he had his touch of fame when he met Adrian Peterson. But this was a great project. It was a lot of fun to work on. It was a lot of fun working with the Vikings for those 2 years. It really, the game in 2010 set the table for us for 2014 and 15. I mentioned the roof replacement in Williams Arena. Again, another iconic facility. We've been talking about replacing the roof for years. I mean, it leaked bad. We had a lot of, we were to the point where we were fearful that we were going to have to cancel the game because of the roof leak. That's how bad it was. And so we had our opportunity with the Vikings. The university actually stepped up and paid for half this project. We took half the Vikings' money and put it towards the roof, so now we have a new roof on Williams. And one of the things that when we did our needs assessment for the Athletes Village project, the president had come out and said as long as he was president of Williams Arena, we would be home and go for basketball. So you kind of put the stake in the ground and said Williams Arena is staying for the foreseeable future. So that really gave us the impetus we needed to spend the money on a new roof, because that statement was made, and his vision was to have Williams Arena stay as a home for basketball and for all the other sports as well. In 2014 or 2012 through 2015, we ended up spending $4 million on new scoreboard sound systems for fans in our competition venues. The reason we did that was because we had started to charge scholarship seating fees, right, for hockey, basketball, and now football. And in order to soften that blow, Joel Maturi at the time, he was the one that started scholarship seating for basketball and hockey. He wanted to give back to the fans, who said in order to ask them to pay for scholarship seating, he wanted to give them new scoreboards and new sound systems. So we went down that road and installed state-of-the-art systems in all of our venues, high-def video, high-quality sound systems, so on and so forth. So that was a good project to work on as far as just for the fans. In 2016, we remodeled the Gopher hockey team suite area. We hadn't done anything major for the team since probably about 1995 in their locker room area. we were falling way behind the times. Everybody that built a rink, North Dakota, even the Wild, came through Mariucci. They all used Mariucci as their starting point as far as sight lines and back of house and all those different things. They all modeled their facility, at least to some extent, after Mariucci Arena. So as they built their facilities, especially North Dakota, we fell behind. So we went out and raised $4.3 million to remodel the Gopher team suite. And we actually had enough square footage. We didn't have to take anything away from anybody because we had a visiting team locker room that sat empty except for 20 games a year. We had an old JV locker room back when we built the facility. We actually had JV hockey. That was empty. We didn't have a JV team anymore. So we actually took those spaces and built them out and made them into team locker rooms. So you can see just the the state-of-the-art facilities that we built for the hockey team. This is shaped like a puck, of course, round. Jerseys are in the lockers. Airflow through the lockers. You all know that hockey gear stinks, so we tried to eliminate that with airflow. And then a lot of LED lighting as you went through the facility. You walk down the hallway, we tried to display the history and the success of the program as you came into the facility. This is walking into the locker room. We wanted some sort of lit element to kind of speak to, just Gopher hockey and how cool Gopher hockey is. We put an LED strip of lights all the way out to the players' box here, so that it kind of looks like a runway when you walk out to the players' bench area. So again, just some improvements we wanted to make for the Gopher hockey team. Then the big project we just finished. So the Athletes Village, we just opened in January. We spent $166 million on that. Athletes Village is part of a bigger project, a $190 million project. We're trying to raise money for a track, for wrestling, for golf, and other projects on campus. So we started this back in 2012. Norwood Teague was hired basically to start this project. I mean, that was what he was brought in to do. That was one of his first mandates, and one of my first meetings with Norwood Teague was, we need to get this going, and we need to get going now. So we hired a firm to come in and do a needs assessment of our entire department, not just football, basketball, and the sports that benefited with new facilities from this project, but all of our sports. So we sat down with every single coach, every single administrator, support units. We talked about what do you need in order to be successful. So we came up with a plan, and the president, President Kaler, sat down and he helped us kind of drive our plan to what the key essential items were. We ended up with the Athletes Village project. At one time, this project was estimated at $190 million, but we actually built new facilities from Bierman. I don't know if you've been on campus lately, but Bierman is the main admin building. We actually tore down Gibson Nagurski and built new facilities all the way down to 8th Street, all the way towards Siebert, and all the way back up behind Bierman. We actually knocked down all those facilities, and we had academics, we had wrestling, we had gymnastics, we had basketball, we had football, we had all these sports in this complex. Well, the price tag on that was $190 million, but the way cost estimating goes, they were low. I mean, I bet you that was probably about a $230 million project. We couldn't afford that. So we went back in, and we were kind of given the direction by the president to come up with something that's right around the $150,000 to $175,000 range. So we ended up with these three separate facilities that make up the Athletes Village: the Center for Excellence, the Football Performance Center, and then the new indoor football facility here. That price tag is $166 million. So we landed on that facility. We started to talk with the different coaches. Again, you can see all the coaches we had to work with here. Started with Jerry Kill. Jerry retired because of health issues. Tracy Clays took over. Then we moved on to PJ Fleck. Tubby Smith was actually involved in the original needs assessment process, as well as Pam Borden. We moved on to Richard Patino and Marlene Stallings as we started to develop the actual plans for the project. I remember when Tubby was first hired, I sat down with him to talk about facilities, and he was a big proponent of a practice facility, like most coaches would be, but he said there's no coincidence that Florida won back-to-back national titles the year after they opened up their practice facility. That's how much he believed in that practice facility. So he was pushing to get that built as fast as we possibly could. We didn't get it built fast enough for him, of course, but we do have Coach Patino, and it's a great facility for him. We worked with Coach Kill and Coach Clays on design of the facility. Coach Clays was like Coach Kill's facility guy. You know, he was there in all the meetings. He was the one that really kind of directed Coach Kill on what football needed. Coach Kill kind of knew what he wanted, but he really relied on Tracy. So when Coach Kill left, we didn't have a lot of re-educating to do with the new coach. The one thing that Tracy wanted, though, was he wanted moving sidewalks everywhere. He didn't want to walk. He wanted escalators, and he wanted moving sidewalks throughout the entire facility. And if you know Tracy, he was a big guy. He's probably about 400 pounds. But that was one of his wish list items that we just couldn't afford. But yeah, he wanted moving sidewalks everywhere. Coach Kill was, he was demanding as far as what he wanted, but he also was fair about what he wanted as well. Just like Tracy was fair about what he wanted, and completely understood what the goals of the project were. So the goal was to provide new practice facilities for football and men's and women's basketball. But the more important goal for us was to be able to take care of all of our student athletes with nutrition, academics, and leadership development. Those were the three big components that we really talked about a lot. We talked about this quite a bit, backpack the briefcase moment for the student athletes. So what that is the kids come in, 18, 17-year-old kids, come in as a freshman. They're trying to get used to college life. They're trying to get used to being away from mom and dad. We want to bring them in, and we want them to develop as a person, as a student athlete, and to develop academically as well. So they have their nutrition in this new facility where they can come in, provide them nutritious meals that get bigger, stronger, faster for their sport. We have the academics in this new Center for Excellence where we can take care of their academic needs, make sure they work towards graduation. Currently, our overall GPA is right around 3.24 for all of our student athletes, which is one of the top GPAs in the country for student athletes. Our football team had a 3.0 GPA this past fall, so again, one of the top GPAs for football in the country. This facility is only going to help on improving that as we move forward. But that was our goal, to make sure we took care of them nutritionally, bigger, stronger, faster, help them work towards a degree, and then the real new development for athletics is this leadership development. So it's taking these kids and teaching them how to be productive members of society. You've all seen the commercial. It's on now a lot during the NCAA basketball game. Only 2% of college athletes go pro in their sport. So 98% are looking for a job, right? They're looking to become that next productive member of society. The reason Land O'Lakes gave us so much money for this facility was because of that component, the leadership development component. They have access to our student athletes. They wanted access to our student athletes in order to recruit them to work in their company. Because they know the workload that these student athletes have academically and athletically is, they have to be really good at time management. They have to be really good at setting the priorities and really dedicated in order to succeed in their sport and succeed on campus athletically or academically. So they wanted access to all of our student athletes. That's why they gave their money to the project. And we're actually talking to other corporations in town, other Fortune 500, or Fortune 1000 companies that want to come in and meet with their student athletes on a regular basis and recruit them to work in their companies. Target, Land O'Lakes, Schwann's is a big supporter of what we're doing here, so on and so forth. So all those different companies coming in to have access to our student athletes and be able to hire them in the future. So our leadership development suite actually will help the kids with their interview skills. We actually put in interview rooms so they can practice interviews, but they can also actually be interviewed by a corporation on campus. We put in a large classroom in the back of the complex that we can actually have our SAC meetings, our Student Athlete Advisory Council. Every Division I institution in the country has a SAC group, which is made up of 90 student athletes. It's roughly 2 to 3 representatives from each team, and they basically work on student athlete issues and work on volunteer efforts and so on and so forth. So we put in a nice big room in the back for them to meet. So it's all about the student athlete, this facility. It's all about their needs, meeting their needs academically, nutritionally, and for their life skills, part of their experience. We can ask questions about this when I get done with my presentation. But this is an image of the facility as you walk into the front doors of the old Beerman complex. So we still enter it in the same spot as you come into the facility. These are video screens. So there's 9 projectors up here that project these images, and these change on a daily basis. So we have a lot of activity going on in this new lobby. The old Beerman lobby, you walked in and it felt cramped and it was tight and it wasn't welcoming. This is very welcoming on a daily basis. This is a look back out towards the street. We were standing down here before. You can see the video screens up here. We have some seating areas, some inspirational items listed along the side here. This is looking downtown out of our leadership development suite. So we wanted to put the leadership development suite in this corner of the building so that we could tie visually to the downtown corporations. So our message to the kids is when you get up to this 5th floor, the top floor, you're looking out this window, you're looking at where you're going to be working downtown. That's a huge recruiting advantage for us as well, if you want to call it a recruiting advantage. We can bring kids in and we can say, we have this connection with these corporations. You know, we can't guarantee you a job, but we can at least tell you that there are people who are interested in employing you down here when you get done with your career at the University of Minnesota. So that's one of the selling points that we're giving to recruits as they come on campus now. This is that large classroom on the back side of the building. It's divisible into thirds. We can actually, this will seat 90 at one time, or we can actually pull these 3 walls shut and we'll have 3 rooms of 30, or we can have one big classroom of 120 without tables. You can see the views over to TCF Bank Stadium and Mariucci. This is the women's basketball practice court. Everything we did for the men, we did the same for the women and vice versa. So the women have the same setup as the men. This is the court and a half I was talking about. This is the main practice court, and you can see the 3-point arc here. It's off of that main court, so we could actually have a full practice going on here, and they can have athletes over here shooting and not impacting practice, which is totally different than what we have at Williams Arena right now. So they're going from 4 baskets to Williams Arena to 8 baskets in this facility. So again, just another opportunity for the athletes to develop their skill. This is the football team auditorium, 120 seats in this auditorium, fixed tables with movable chairs. Coach Fleck will stand down in front here and he'll talk to the entire team. And that's one thing Coach does. He meets with the team twice a week at 6 a.m. just to talk about being a man. He's got a book, a binder, that he hands out to the entire team. It's called the Man Book. And it just talks about how to become a contributing member of society, how to become a man in society. So he spends a lot of time working with these athletes on other things other than just winning on the field. So he's really working on the culture here at the University of Minnesota. This is the weight room. So this is that 16,000 square foot weight room. So we went from 5,000 to 9,000 to 16,000 square feet. And it's got windows. So we used to be in the basement of Beerman. We have windows here now. It's a lot of daylighting, so it's a fantastic facility. This is the Hall of Fame, which is the main entry of the football complex. They're, again, very bright, very active, very vibrant as you walk into the facility. And this is the new indoor facility. So this is 85 feet to the peak. The old facility was 65 feet. We can't punt in the old facility. Here you can actually punt. We actually had the punter from the Colts. He's retired. I can't remember his name. But he came in here and he was punting, and he had no problem. So I think we built it tall. We could actually fit the old facility inside of this new facility. That's how big this new facility is. And to Coach Fleck's credit, I gave Coach Fleck a tour before we were done with the project. And, you know, the finishes weren't up, the walls were up. And I said, you know, Coach, I want to thank you for having such a good attitude about this project. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you know, most coaches would come in, they want to blow this whole thing up and start over. I said, you've been great. I mean, you've tweaked things here and there, but overall, Coach Fleck really didn't change much. I mean, he personalized things. You can see rowboat down here. He's got his sayings along here, change your best, hyper, which I couldn't tell you what hyper means, but it's HYPRR. And necktie mentality and all those different sayings. So he's personalized the facilities that way, but he really didn't change much as far as design and structure. And this is another shot of the football facility. Eventually, this is what our turf will look like over at TCF, minus the state logo, because we have to put TCF Bank Stadium here now. So we'll take the state logo and put it down in the end zone, but this will be the layout once we get rid of soccer. The next project on the horizon, we're going to finish our track in 2018. We actually put Athletes Village right where the current track is. We actually had a Title IX complaint filed against us because we removed the track and worked with the University Central Administration to find a location for the new tracks. And this is going right back behind Siebert. This is Siebert Field right here, the outfield fence, and this is the softball complex. So it's going right back here where the rec sports fields were. So that'll be done in August of 2018. $13 million project. And then the one I'm kind of most excited about, because I used to wrestle, is we're actually going to build a wrestling practice facility in the Beerman Gym. So that's going to be a $2.6 million project. We're going to build a mezzanine for offices in the Beerman Gym, and then we'll have wrestling mats underneath that mezzanine and some more wrestling mats out in the open area. So we'll have 7,000 square feet of wrestling mats. Right now they have 5,700 square feet of wrestling mats in the old Beerman Gym. So this will be a great facility for wrestling. It's really going to put us on par with the Penn States and the Ohio States in the country. And then the last project that we're working on right now is a winter golf practice facility, or a year-round golf practice facility, $3.2 million project out at Les Bolstad Golf Course. And it's going to be a facility where in the wintertime you open up a garage door, you can actually hit out onto the driving range, and then we'll have an indoor putting studio for the team as well. So this is pretty much standard around the country for golf teams or schools that have golf teams now. So we're finally catching up in this area as well. And that's it. Took a lot longer than I thought it would. Is there a question and answer period, or?
There are a couple of microphones dispersed in the crowd there. If somebody's got a question or two, I know Scott has covered a lot, but there might be a question or two. Got one down here.
Hey Scott, thanks for the great presentation this evening, Dan Swenson. A couple of questions I have. One is going back to the facilities. You know, TCF's a beautiful complex, and I think one of the things that we're falling back on was, you know, we talked about the video scoreboard as being the largest when we opened it. Now it's not, and when are we going to be upgrading that to the high definition and increasing the size of the one on the east end zone? I believe it would be the smaller one.
Yeah. So it is high def now, but there is another, it's not ultra high def. So
Right.
we'll take that next step probably within the next 2 to 5 years on the main scoreboard. The smaller scoreboard, we probably won't change the size of that. We actually built in the ability to expand TCF. Coach Fleck has already said this. You know, he's planning on building that upper deck to get us to 80,000 seats here within the next 2 years. So we'll see if that'll happen. But we did build that capacity into the stadium. We actually built another deck above the seating upper deck on the north side of the facility, right up to that auxiliary school side. But it's really tough to change that structure and make it bigger, and it just adds more expense to the project.
All right. Second question I have is looking at the marketing for the University of Minnesota Athletics. You know, this last year we implemented the advisory council.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a great step, but looking at the members of the council, it's all from the Metro South. I think there's one member outside of the metro area going north on that council, and I think that the one thing that we have done very poorly from the university standpoint is a marketing campaign outside of the Twin Cities for Greater Minnesota. As you look today, the average age of the people in this crowd, we're not getting at the young individuals to become Gopher fans, and that's very disheartening to myself, and I'm sure to everybody else in this crowd this evening. And I think that we need to do, I don't know what that marketing plan is, or do we have something? I mean, one of the things is you're looking at, we do a lot of private fundraising for each of these buildings, and you rely on the alumni and the individuals, the athletes that competed in each of those sports. But I don't think we're doing a good enough job reaching out to the athletes, the alumni athletes, to help fund these projects. I know PJ's doing a lot on the football side, but I'm not seeing much on the other spectrum, especially within our hockey community and our basketball community.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we got to get better in those areas. I know that's one thing I've talked to, I'm on the senior staff in the athletic department. I've talked to the senior staff, including Mark Coyle, about the fact that when I was growing up, Tim and Tom and my dad and myself would go hunting over in west central Minnesota by Herman, and we'd always listen to the Gopher game. And that was Gopher territory over there. Now it's NDSU territory, right? So it's kind of drifted, NDSU's kind of drifted into the market that we used to have. And so I keep saying that to our senior staff. We need to find out how we can get that area back and become Gopher territory up here in Alexandria, Minnesota again. I think it's important for us to do that. I know last year we had a really good outing at the golf course for the M Club, and there's a few members there, mostly baseball players, remember, right? And that was a really good time. And it was a great outreach by the M Club in order to get some of those people involved in reconnecting through the M Club. I know we do the Gopher Caravan every year where they go out and they came through Alexandria a couple of years ago, and they hit Fargo and Moorhead, they hit Detroit Lakes and all the different areas. So we're working on it. And it's like eating an elephant one bite at a time.
Rick Sandsted, and thanks for being here this evening. I work with the school district. Your brother Tom has helped create some quality business partnerships, so was really excited to hear about your leadership piece, the student leadership piece, and sort of the corporate sponsors. So, and would affirm, so I was a Fargo native and have watched the NDSU green and gold leak this way, I would say. And so just know that I think there might be an opportunity or an avenue as we talk about some of those business partnerships. How does the business partnership with Metro Area connect with University of Minnesota, connect back here with Greater Minnesota? Because locally, again, education and business partnerships is one of the reasons why we're sitting in this facility today. Alexander's really tapped into that. How does the University of Minnesota maybe figure out how to continue to tap into that on that student leadership side? So I was just going to echo those similar comments. And I think Mr. Anderson's here from the Board of Regents. He's also, I think, I had a chance to talk about that as well. So that's, I think, an opportunity in front of you, and that's why I love to see that student leadership development program with that Athletes Village.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's almost like an untapped market again. Up here, it's something we have to get back into. And like I said, growing up, I was a huge Gopher fan. I went to the University of North Dakota, like I said, and I was the only student in the student section cheering for the Gophers when they played the school there. Luckily, I had a lot of big friends that played football, so they could stick up for me. But yeah, we gotta find that. We gotta get that foothold back up in this area.
Scott, great presentation, but 50 years ago, and I would think it's still the same today, there's about 10 weekend warriors for every, one who's playing in the Big Ten. So, in general now, I mentioned Cook Arena before, but hopefully they've expanded those facilities as well for the rest of the student body.
Well, they have. The rec center was built in 1990, I believe, if I remember right. Shortly thereafter, where Memorial Stadium is, and they just expanded that and added on to that 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was. They built another addition with weight rooms and basketball courts and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think the recreation opportunities for the students on campus are really good. I think we're short on outdoor space. You know, I think we have to work on that. But I think overall, they have really good facilities.
Any other questions? Tomorrow, Scott's going to be spending the day with students here at the high school and talking a little bit about some of what we heard tonight, but has an opportunity to meet a little more intimately with the smaller groups and really kind of emphasize that student leadership aspect. Some of the things he's going to talk about and present. It's 2% of Big Ten athletes that go on to pro. It's a similar percentage of athletes from here that go on. We've been blessed in this community to have some athletic success, especially this winter. And we've got students and alumni that have played. And I'm awfully happy to see that the track is going to get completed next fall because we've got a couple stellar runners from this town running for the Gophers right now too.
Yeah.
So we're excited for that. So thank you again, Scott. We look forward to having you tomorrow with the students. They're gonna treat you well and probably rate you over for goals as well. So I'm sure you can handle all those questions.
One more comment. You know, the people in the audience have not got the opportunity to go through Athletes Village. I recommend that you do, and I'm not sure when the public tours are coming up, but I think even if you could do something from a community standpoint like this, where you have an Alexandria Day down at Athletes Village where Scott can give a personal tour, and hopefully that can engage some philanthropy through the community of Alexandria and the Gopher fans that we have here in this community, and do that throughout the state of Minnesota where you have different community days to try and increase that enthusiasm that all of us this evening have for both athletics. Thanks.
It's good.